Hello and welcome to the MCLA National Championships powered by Under Armour. We have a quarterfinal matchup today, the Brigham Young Cougars versus the Utah Utes. This should be a good one. Alongside Ryan Powell, MLL legend, Syracuse legend, I am Greg Bice, and we have the privilege of having this great call here, this quarterfinal matchup between two teams. Ryan, Utah beats A&M in the first round. You have the Cougars. They beat reigning champion Grand Canyon to advance to the second round. You watched both of these team plays yesterday. Some initial thoughts?
Yeah, I think this is going to be an awesome matchup between these two teams. Utah products here, and a lot on the line for both these clubs. This is a heavyweight matchup for sure. Watching both the clubs play yesterday, they both played really solid games from the defensive end to the offensive end as well. They were clicking on both ends of the field, and I'm looking forward to the game today. It's going to be an awesome matchup between these two squads, and I'd expect to see a high level of lacrosse happening today.
And both of these teams from the same conference met earlier in the year. A 16-8 win for Utah. That was the first time that Utah has ever beaten BYU. We talked to Coach Holman before the game. He had mentioned, people want to call it a rivalry, but this is the first time they ever won, was earlier in the year. Utah is undefeated. They've had a great season. Is there anything that comes into play knowing these teams met earlier? Utah did win. You bring any history over from earlier in the season, or is it a fresh slate?
Yeah, I think that's a great question and a really good point, Greg. You look at it for Utah, they have the confidence and they have the understanding and mindset that they know how to win against Brigham Young University and get a W. But it's a different time of the year now. Throw that early season game out the window. This is the championship week here, and I expect a much different outcome here today.
And on the opening draw, we have Tyler Clancy, number 33 for BYU, and Mikhail Abizad, number 6 for the Utes. Nice ground ball. Connor Richmond with the work off the turf. Utah sets up the clear.
Yesterday, watching Utah play, they're very good in this part of the game. Their defensemen are really talented at picking up ground balls, and they were clearing the ball about over 90% of the time in yesterday's matchup. So, as you know, and a great understanding in lacrosse IQ and lacrosse possession is so important in this game. So, every single time you got to clear the ball or you got to scoop up a ground ball. When you do that, you give your team another offensive possession and another shot at scoring a goal.
So we'll be focused on the clearing, obviously. Also, the face-off matchup will be huge for gaining possession for each of these teams. We have a turnover. The ball is coming back down the BYU way. First possession for BYU. Not exactly what Utah wanted on their first possession.
No, bad unforced turnover there, or not an unforced turnover, I should say. That was a forced turnover. Nice stick check, but they definitely wanted to swing that ball and get some touches, as BYU will be looking to do right now.
And one of those guys for BYU was number 8, Chris Severson, a guy who absolutely scorched Grand Canyon yesterday. We were talking in the open. You love his game.
Yeah, I do. I think that you look at the top players on the team, and number 8 comes to mind for sure, Severson for BYU. And what makes great players great is the ability to do a lot of different things very well. So he's a really good dodger. He can go both hands. He's a feeder. Great vision, and like you noticed in the warm-ups, he can flat out shoot the ball as well. So Severson's the guy to watch today.
Fantastic stroke. BYU settling in their offense. Great job by Utah thus far in the possession of sliding and recovering.
There is no secret that these guys are very well coached on the defensive end. Coach Brian Holman has done an unbelievable job.
Got the Utah bench working, trying to get the shot clock, the timer on, and there it is. BYU showing great patience on this first possession. We're going to have an over and back. It's going to be Utah ball. at the 50. So for BYU, they look very methodical, very patient in their offensive set. Obviously, that's not what they wanted from their first possession as well. When you looked at Utah yesterday, are they more of a methodical team, or are they going to try and get out and transition and run and jam the ball down your throat?
No, I think that they play offense pretty much the same exact way. You know, these guys are very patient, and you know, they're looking for the best shot, a high-quality shot that they can produce every single time. So it's not very often that either of these teams is quick to go to the cage.
Luke Granny initiating the offense from X for the Utes. Ian Ellison now with the ball. Great save from Hampshire. Talented goalie for the Cougars. Ground ball and turnover. Great save, but right to the Cougars. Love seeing two teams coming out, throwing the body around, scrapping for those loose balls.
Yeah, huge in-state rivalry. These teams are definitely going to get after it. These guys have been working since day one in the fall to form the best team that they possibly can throughout the season. They've sacrificed a lot. Guys commit a lot of time to the sport of lacrosse, whether it be out on the field practicing or
transition opportunity for the Cougars. Harry Waddups with an absolute rifle to the top corner. Just absolutely uncorks it. And it starts with your guy, Chris Severson, in transition, drawing the slide, making the extra pass. And then Harry Waddups, no doubt, with that shot.
No doubt about it. Good call, Bice. That was an unbelievable rip right there to the top right corner. Turn and rake, Mr. Goaltender. We got goal number 1 on the board. It all started with Severson, like you talked about. This kid is an absolute playmaker. And when you can dodge and draw a slide and you can drop it over to Waddups, and he's got that missile, that's going to go in the back of the net quite often.
That was a missile. And how about the pass from Hampshire, the goaltender, to get that transition going?
Absolutely. Nice defensive set there by BYU, and great clear, awesome pass. So that's a big first-time goal.
Nice ground ball. Nice ground ball. Then how about the check from Chris Belcher, the kayak, jarring the ball loose and forcing the turnover. Now the ball for the Utes. Number 8, August Colonia.
Now, were you ever a guy that would throw the kayak check?
No, I didn't have that in the repertoire.
No.
I'm an over-the-head guy. That was my go-to takeaway check. Mostly because I was getting run by, so then I had to punch the sky, try and force that turnover. Was there anybody ever land a kayak on you?
I've gotten quite a few slashes. A lot of people miss the kayak check on me. Right in the face mask.
I definitely slashed you a few times, but never a kayak, just straight over the top.
Did you
hammers to your? I was aiming for your wrist.
Did you get called?
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah. They're a little slow to pull that hanky out in the Major League Lacrosse, my friend.
Yeah, I got away with a few for sure. Utah now with the ball going to the invert set. Offensively, Ryan, from your perspective, obviously I see it differently as a defenseman, but when you got that invert, you take that short stick behind, what are you looking for?
I love the invert situation. You know, we call it like a big little matchup, and basically they just tried to run it right there. But you get one of BYU's short stick defensemen behind the cage with one of your midfielders and run a little pick and roll game. And you can have a lot of success that way. It forces the defense to talk. It can often force a matchup off a switch where you have a short stick defenseman trying to guard an attackman. So I love the big little matchup.
We had another brilliant save from Hampshire there. There's a penalty flag down. I didn't catch what it was, but this is a free possession now for BYU, playing with house money.
Absolutely, free possession for sure. I didn't see the penalty either. We will have to wait and see what our officials tell us happened here, but in the meantime, let's see if BYU can produce a good shot.
Severson working the matchup. You got this free play here. Be patient, take your time. BYU, a seasoned team, won multiple national championships. Very deep roster. You look at Utah, obviously gearing up to go Division I. They have a ton of freshmen on this roster. They're bringing in, another 30 kids next year, trying to build that roster and get ready. We'll see what the call is as BYU, the Cougars, prepare for their first man-up opportunity.
Watching the game yesterday, BYU was excellent on the man-up. They had.
Well, this is interesting here, Ryan. They actually called blue 1-1 on a slash,
like a free possession. Doesn't make any sense.
Which obviously would not have made any sense. The ball should have died the second BYU touched it. I believe it's going to be against Utah. They got the number wrong, 2-5. Blue 11. Okay, so BYU got a free play there, even though they shouldn't have. The play should have stopped when BYU gained possession after the slash call on Jared Cotter.
Blue 11 with the slash. It's going to be white ball in midfield. Play should have been stopped sooner.
Okay, great job by the officials explaining, saying, hey guys, we got that wrong, but we're going to clean it up right now. It's going to be Utah ball, man up possession. And we'll see how the Utes look on their first man up opportunity.
I always respect an official when they own their mistake.
Agreed.
And they came right over here, explained the situation, and it is what it is. They should have called that play dead a lot earlier. They didn't, but they owned it, and here we are. We play on. I just started to talk about BYU and their man-up unit. Well, I'm going to say pretty much the same thing about the Utah man-up unit because they both play very similar out there. Great ball movement, and they keep their feet moving the whole time, too. So you'll see a lot of keeping the ball hot, but also a lot of movement out of the players.
Another huge save from Hampshire, just stabs that out of the air. He's got 3 doorstep saves early in this game.
When you talk about MCLA championship lacrosse and you're looking to win the gold medal, man, you got to get great goaltending play. And Hampshire has come ready to play in this big contest here today.
No, 25! It's 25!
You can hear we're sitting at the scores table. They're trying to get the clock right. They didn't want to send the player in too early.
Release!
And now BYU is releasing. And there's the goal. The overhand released. High to low. Josh Stout, player of the game from the Aggies matchup yesterday. Time and room. Overhand, high to low. Finally able to put one by Hampshire.
That's just a great shot right there. Good understanding. BYU is a little bit slow to get out on the hands there and attack Stout. He's their top player. There's got to be a better understanding that when number 1 has the ball, they got to slide to him and they got to slide quick. He lit it up. He absolutely lit it up last night. And, we talk so much about Severson and what he means to the BYU team. Stout's the same, the same magnitude of a player for Utah. So keep your eye on both those players today. They're going to be the difference maker when this thing comes down the stretch.
So if you're the defense there, don't slide off Stout. Be slow. Make the defensive midfielder take a shot or the long pole in a transition scenario.
Yep, absolutely.
All knotted at 1. 7 minutes remaining in this first period. Another face-off win for the Cougars. But this ball is going to be corralled by Costa. Talk about Hampshire won it. He's made a ton of saves. Costa hasn't had to make a ton of saves. There's that one shot that was blistered by him, but he's a fantastic goaltender in his own right and had a fantastic game yesterday and one of the best goaltenders in this tournament.
He sure did. He was in the press conference after the game along with number 1, Stout. So great goaltending play and awesome play by their money man attackman, Stout, in yesterday's competition. So they're a huge part of Utah and their success.
The fake flip from Feldstedt. Just did a complete lap around the goal. Didn't get a lot. And now it's going to be Josh Stout with the ball, calling his own number. Crease violation. Cougars are going to set up the clear.
BYU's had, they've been swarming on the ground balls, but after they've gotten the ball in their stick, Utah is all over them. And they've made some poor decisions, poor passes. So
right on cue, Ryan.
Yeah, you got to, every possession is super important. We talked about that in the early going. So that one was a bad, unforced turnover, bad pass down by the guy's ankle, and Utah's got another shot at it.
And the Utah poles in between the lines, in between the boxes, have been really successful of throwing checks and getting on hands and just not making it easy for the Cougars to clear. We're going to have another crease violation, and we'll see if BYU can successfully clear it.
Here in MCLA Championship Week, there's 32 teams. We've been able to watch a lot of lacrosse yesterday, and again, getting fired up here today, but I haven't seen a better defensive unit than Utah, the way that they communicate with each other, but most importantly, the job that they do on ground balls and clearing the ball. So super important. This defense is stellar, and BYU is going to have their hands full trying to beat them and then find out a recipe for success.
Easy save for Costa. When you talk about Utah, you talk about their defense and how skilled they are. How about the size and the frame of these defensemen as well? They're big, they're tall, they're rangy.
Yeah, they got some big boys for sure. I wonder what Coach Ullman, he's going to have some big decisions to make next year. You talk about 30 new freshmen coming into the mix here. They already have some Division I caliber players on this team.
And they've been building and loading for the last year and then into this year, so 2 years. He talked about how important it was for him to build the culture. Got a free play now for Utah. We're going to have an interference call on Hogard from the Cougars. He just knocked the stick, the cross, loose of Jeremy Sarton. What a pass to find Colonia on the back door. The skip pass to number 8, August. Colonia just wiggles free, finds that soft spot, and a great pass from Jeremy Sarton.
There's a little interference flag down there. They're going to wave that thing off. It's so important for the defense to play as a unit, and it doesn't just happen with one guy sliding out to stop the ball carrier. You got to get communication and slides happening on the backside. That failed right there for BYU. Left a guy naked on the back door.
Yeah, nobody filled the backside there, failed to cover him. And as an attackman, those are the best ones, right? You're on the back door, you catch the ball, there's nobody within 5 yards, and the goalie's on the other side of the pipe.
Yeah, it takes a lot of the thinking out of the equation when you got that kind of time and room to stick it.
BYU's done great. The face-off, give credit to Tyler Clancy. He's been in control this first quarter, and talked about the importance of possessions. And Clancy doing a great job of winning possessions for his team.
Got my man Matty Lax. He was on the broadcast last night talking about Hampshire coming up huge.
If you want to tweet us, hashtag BYUVUtah. We'll get your tweets live. We'd love to interact with you, the fans. You got some comments for us? Something you want to talk about? Some nuggets that you can add as fans? Go ahead and tweet at us. Use the hashtag BYUVUtah. Penalty there on Rylan Lemons for the Utes. Now we actually will see the first man-up possession from the Cougars.
We talked all about Utah's defense. I watched BYU's man-up. They're very good. They got some good sets. They got good ball movement. It's going to be interesting to see how this matchup shakes out right here. Very good defense in Utah, but very talented man-up unit. This is going to be a fun battle to watch right here.
So they got a 30-second penalty here. What's from an offensive standpoint and getting and finding your groove? What's the biggest difference between having a 30-second penalty and having a minute, besides the time difference, obviously?
I don't think there's a whole lot of a difference in terms of a mindset. You know, a lot of times when you have a 1-minute penalty, you're spending the first 30 seconds just spinning the ball as quick as you can anyway. So 30-second penalty, you just try to get into your set a little bit quicker.
BYU controls the ball. 3 seconds left in the penalty. Shot from Tanner Johnson. Good looking lefty. Couple pulls on that man up. Neither one of them were able to find the back of the net. The sidearm lefty release from Severson. Utah defense giving him just enough room to get that shot off. Bounces off the pipe.
They got to really pick and choose their shots that they're going to be taking out here today. You know, in terms of a coaching staff and the coaches that work with this goaltender. I mean, you got a MLL All-Star and Will Manny. You got Marcus Holman.
That's a great save right there. Severson time and room. The low-to-low release.
Yeah, another awesome save. And what I was going to say is you got Marcus Holman, you got who just scored 11 goals in Major League Lacrosse. You got Will Manny. You got those two shooting on you every single practice
you're seeing
that
some
you're
decent,
playing
some
in.
high-quality shots.
And then if you need a little tweak with your setup, you go to Geidelman, who's the starting goaltender in Major League Lacrosse. I mean,
you got Will Manny on the left side. You got Marcus Holman on the right side, just uncorking them on you.
Yeah.
And you got Gittleman standing behind you.
telling you what to do.
Yeah. Hey, don't let those guys score on you.
Yeah.
Well, they shoot at 100 miles an hour, Coach. What's that? What do you say to that?
Yeah. I'm not so sure that these goaltenders understand how good they have it.
Yeah, for sure. So another man-up opportunity. See if the Cougars can generate a higher quality look than they did on their first set. Severson was definitely thinking about that one for the Cougars. Penalty released.
Nice look.
Great through pass, just Winston Farley wasn't able to handle it. You hear the Utah bench fired up after that turnover. And the Utes, some sloppy play here. And a failed clear now from Utah. Chandler Westcott controls for the Cougars. And that's one there where it was that's a pass you practice every day. Just sails errant. And BYU fortunate enough to be in the right place in the right time and pick up the loose ball.
So frustrating as a coach in those situations when you're throwing passes down at a guy's ankle, because you understand from starting in the fall all the way to where you are here in championship week, you've done so many different stick work drills to improve as a player. And here on the big stage, we've seen some sloppy passing in the first quarter.
BYU, we've seen a lot of their first midfield unit. Utah consistently runs two. See if the fatigue becomes a factor as this game progresses.
Now with 40 seconds on the clock here in the first quarter, if you're BYU, I like to hold for the last shot. I'm not even afraid to get a shot clock slapped on me here in this situation, and not let Utah have another opportunity in their offensive end.
And you could hear Coach Schneck and his staff yelling no on that first shot because they did want to hold for one. And worse than a poor shot is a turnover.
Numbers.
You called it. They did have numbers. Fortunate bounce and able to maintain possession. How about that hammer from Josh Stout? He was deep.
He was deep. He's feeling it, though.
Hey, why not?
Coming off a game last night, man. He was on fire, this kid.
In the situation, you're here at the end of the first quarter. There's only 10 seconds. Is that a time that you do pull one from 16 yards?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you still got enough time. Maybe he lost track of how much time was on the clock. Wow,
right there, yeah, there was a little bit too much time on the clock, and the Cougars fail to put that one in. At the end of the first, it's Utah 2, Brigham Young 1.
name is Pat Young. I started my college career at University of Maryland, Baltimore County and finished up at University of Maryland, College Park. I currently play for the Ohio Machine. The shaft is the Meso, and obviously when you look at it, it's got a really sleek look to it. Black on black, it's pretty smooth. Feel it, it's not too rigid, got a little bit of a grit to it. It's very durable, but it's pretty light. It's got a little bit of a flex to it, so it puts a little bit more on your shot. UA Meso Composite, balanced, battle tested.
How you doing today? Yeah, so
And we're back. After a back and forth first quarter, the Utes find themselves with a 1-goal lead, 2-1. RP, some thoughts on that first quarter?
I thought it was exactly what we were going to see here today, minus a little bit of sloppy play.
You think that's nerves?
I think it's a little bit of nerves, you know, a little lack of focus there on executing and really dialing yourself in to make that great pass every single time. But, you know, we saw some really good defense. We got good goaltending, play at both ends of the field, good offensive sets by both teams. Utah owned the quarter a little bit more with time possession and a few more shots. But it was an evenly contested first quarter. And looking forward to another great one here in quarter number 2.
And a nice ground ball from Zach Burbage to corral that, get possession for the Cougars. And at this point in the game, Cougars have dominated the faceoff X, which is good news for you and your coaching staff. You're going to get those extra possessions and those opportunities on the offensive end. Now they got to find a way to beat Costa. Got the invert again. Tic-tac-toe passing, and Costa stands tall. Unbelievable save once again, although I think that one might have been a little bit easy. Bernal fading there on his shot.
Yeah, he's got to step up front, reach around, get a better angle on Costa, get himself to the front of the cage instead of falling away like you talked about. But in terms of an offensive possession, that looked really nice.
Sharp.
I mean, that ball was tic-tac-toe to the backside. And, you know, that's when you're playing your best lacrosse, when guys aren't cradling, they're catching it and moving on to the next guy. Exactly what we just saw right there.
And it started with the invert, the attack from the Cougars, so we'll see if they go back to that because they got the quick slide, and then the passing that you talked about was superb. Got a substitution, transition opportunity from the Utes, and they weren't able to connect. Colonia in front of the cage just wasn't able to put it on. Now Stout controls, wins his matchup, gets top side, bounces it off the pipe. And BYU there with a ground ball. Nice anticipation from Chase Paulson to pick that up, but almost a turnover. How about the ground ball work here from Jared Cotter? The backup to the Utes, Costa running it out. And Ryan, that's one of the things you see a lot. In transition, you come down. If you don't put the ball on cage, you don't have your attack there to back it up.
Yeah, you don't have time to get set up. You know, sometimes that's going to happen. You know, as I do a lot of coaching, and you see that quite often. There's not really a lot you can do about it because you also want your players to be aggressive. So I thought, you know, 22 Winston Farley, he came around and did the right thing. He had some, you know, great dodge down low there, a little time and room, and made a decent shot.
So it's a risk you're willing to take.
Risk, yep.
I'd like to play for you.
Yeah, behind the backs.
Deep hole's able to shoot.
Kayak checks. We'd encourage you to do more of those.
Okay,
You haven't done
I'm
many in your
Sign me
career.
up.
So.
I shot a lot. I wasn't a very good shooter, so. Stout. Again. Man, this kid is good. He's really something. Just calls his own number, attacks the deep hole, beats him top side. Last time we saw him go to his right hand, beat the defender to the top side on the right side, bounce off the pipe. This time goes to the left, leaves no doubt, beats the goaltender, increases the lead 3-1 Utah.
Just a sophomore out of Alpine, Utah. And I'm glad you brought it up, Greg. This guy, I talked about it in the broadcast watching Utah play last night. What makes him so good is that he's just as good going to his left as he is going to his right. The kid can go both ways. As a attackman and a quarterback on the offensive end, so important to be able to go both ways because you put that much pressure, much more pressure on the defenseman that's guarding you. And we saw it right there, going lefty that time, but he's already got a right-handed goal.
With a loose ball push on the Cougars, the Utes maintain possession, and I can tell you on the flip side of that, whenever you're covering an attackman, they can go both ways, you know, to the left or to the right. It's very hard to scout. We got a timeout, Utah, with a 2-goal lead. 11 minutes left in the second quarter. Coach Holman calls that timeout. What do you think the purpose is for him to hit the pause button and bring his team together?
Yeah, I think you got to settle down the troops a little bit and just get your top, 6 offensive guys out there. And part of the head coaching position is having timely timeouts, knowing when to use them. So he's been with this club quite a bit. He might have had a little personnel out there that he didn't feel great about. And get your top offensive guys out there and get ready to go to work again.
Maybe this is a sign of both of us aging, I will say, because you're talking about a good timeout. I love a good timeout call from a coach. It gets me fired up, and it's probably just because we're getting a little bit older and our playing days are over, and we're now on the sideline and coaching.
Absolutely. It makes you appreciate, when you use them and that time that you get to regroup and get everybody in there and get your hands in the middle and get a little cheer, a little fire going, and come back out with a little bit more passion and ready to go.
And on the flip side, how frustrated do you get in the booth when the coach misses an opportunity to call one of those awesome timeouts?
Yeah. You see the top coaches out there in the country. It seems like they never miss the opportunity to call that big timely timeout.
So if you're Utah here, you call your timeout. You going to number one?
I'm going to number one. I'm a big fan of going to your top offensive player every single time, especially when they're hot.
Yep. And you were the top offensive player, so that's why you say that, because you wanted the ball every time.
Yes, I wanted the ball. But you watch the NBA playoffs now, and somebody cans a couple threes in a row. Continue to get him the ball.
And how about this? What we're seeing from the Cougars, they know that strategy. And who do they lock off? Stout. So there we saw Jake Hogard from BYU locking off Utah. His best player, Stout, number one, and the turnover was forced. I like that strategy on the defensive end. That's their best player. Lock him off. Don't let him touch the ball. Don't let him get in a rhythm, because he's got too early here.
Yeah, I love that play there. Head coach from BYU, Matt Schneck. Adjust. Do something a little bit different. Stout shown that he's, capitalizing and beating a couple of your poles. Try a little something different. It's in the early going. You got plenty of time left in this game. Let's find out what works.
They're going back to the invert. Zach Labram. This is where they had that sweet tic-tac-toe passing and just weren't able to bury. That ball bounced off the ref.
Off the referee, and that hurts BYU because they were going to have a guy backing up that shot and would have maintained possession.
In a game, Ryan, as you know so well, the ball sometimes bounces your way and sometimes it doesn't. You got to keep that even head, even keel, and make sure that you don't let those plays that are out of your control affect the way that your team reacts and carries themselves.
Absolutely. You got to play on. There's a lot of different things that happen in the course of 4 quarters in a game of lacrosse, and to your point, keep your head up, keep that energy level up, and play on.
So now BYU has their offensive personnel. They didn't get their defensive midfielders on. They're not able to shut off Stout. We'll see if he calls his own number. Now Stout initiates from X with the pick. Great defense from Levi Smith. Better offense from August Colonia. Just calls his own number, sweeps to the middle. How about that lefty release, high to low?
High to low, perfectly placed shot. That's what it's all about. I remember me, 2001 Major League Lacrosse All-Star game.
Talk
They
to
had
me.
every one of the All-Stars participate. This was in the pregame shoot-around early in the morning. They have everybody, including the goalies, all the defensemen, do the fastest shot contest. They were going to pick the 5 top
Correct, okay.
hardest shooters, right? Out of every single player, I was the slowest shooter at 89 miles an hour.
That seems fast for you.
But yet, I was the leading goal scorer in the time.
Doesn't surprise
leading
me.
goal scorer in the league at the time.
Well, you also, most of your shots came from about 7 and 7, so
Yeah, so I mean, the Kelowna right there, you talk about that. That's just a perfectly placed shot down in the low 90. Not much that the BYU goaltender could do about that one. Gives Utah a big goal and a 3-goal lead.
we see a strategy change for Utah at the faceoff X to go with a double pull because they've been having trouble countering Clancy for the Cougars. I'll tell you my fastest shot story in the MLL at another time. I shot 88. That's basically the long story short, and it was an embarrassment to everybody. We don't have an over and back because they're saying it was tipped by the Cougars. Oh, big hit. That's going to draw a flag. But Liam Kavanaugh Fernandez for the Utes, laying the boom.
I'm not so sure about that call.
It was shoulder to shoulder.
It looked like that was right in the chest to me.
And this is one of the things that we talked about yesterday, Ryan. Obviously, it was on some different games for you. We weren't able to broadcast together, but somehow the Dream Team is together now, so
Yep.
we're thankful for that.
Yes,
but
we are.
One of the things that we talked about, there's a bigger story in lacrosse going with contact. It seems like any time, even if it's a clean hit, it gets called a penalty. So as a player, you're taught that you're allowed to lead with your shoulder, like we saw there, hit a player in their chest. As long as you do it the right way, it's fine. But every time we watch a game, if you do that, you get called for a penalty. Am I wrong?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. I think that, with the concussions that are happening now, the officials, it's something that's a high priority for them is to try to keep everybody safe. But, you got to keep in mind, the rules are the rules, and that right there was a clean hit.
Big save from Costa. The doorstep look from the Cougars. And is this something there where we just take body checking out of lacrosse?
If you're going to make that call, you should take the body checking right out of it so the players don't do it.
BYU's passing has been crisp once again. I like their ball movement on this set.
Yeah, absolutely. They're really good in the man up. They swing that ball quickly.
Tanner Johnson, the lefty, pounds the opposite corner. We saw Costa make a couple low saves early in that possession. Tanner Johnson decides to go upstairs from the low angle and beats Costa.
You got to be pumped if you're Coach Matt Schneck to have those two guys on either side. You got Harry Wattups on that right-handed side, number 25. He stung a high, hard one. And now they're coming with the left-handed shooter, Tanner Johnson. He puts it to the far side top corner. So both cannons, very similar shots, both big-time goals for BYU.
I have a theory that lefties are just better shooters. Do you buy into that?
I'm
I know
not
you're
sure.
right-handed, so you're going to say no, but
No, buddy. I think that they look better.
is that what it is?
Yeah.
Just like smooth and silky and
Well, I mean, like, give me a little example of that, okay? Are you going John Grant Jr.? Is that your lefty sniper?
no. He is a great shooter, though, obviously. Yeah, I'll go John Grant Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can shoot from any angle. So crafty with his stick skills. Years and years of playing the indoor box lacrosse game, which a lot of players across the country, even the college kids, are playing now. You got the box lacrosse rocking and rolling
Yes, we
in
do.
Columbus,
Yeah, it's
Ohio.
huge. It's huge.
Well, throughout Ohio, I should say, in your Resolute Lacrosse program.
Ooh, how about that? The trail check from Hogard.
Hogard, gave him a little twirly bird.
The old spinorama.
Spinorama. We'd be making Booker Corrigan proud.
Oh, man.
Those two references. What a nifty check.
There you go.
First and nifty.
I don't think you or I have the movie knowledge / rap lyric memory to compete with Booker when it comes to witty things.
I know that you and I do not have that game.
Fair enough. But big check there and a chance to cut this lead to 1. BYU spinning the ball, settling in their offense. And here's that same play that we've seen, the initiator. Zach Labrum, number 17 for BYU, taking his short stick behind and initiating on the invert. Been very successful at drawing slides, and now you see the matchup change for Utah, putting Seth Nealman, number 5, the long stick, on Zach Labrum because of the success that he's had behind the cage and creating early offense for the Cougars.
Yeah, now that we're done with the extra man, it's back to a 6-on-6 situation. This is where BYU has struggled a little bit. Unforced turnover right there. They've struggled cracking this Utah defense. They've had a couple, nice shots on the man-up situation. They've had a goal in the transition situation, but when we're talking about straight-up 6-on-6, BYU has failed to crack that Utah defense to the moment.
And when you see the unforced error, just the transfer pass, as a coach, you talked about it, it's really frustrating. And it's frustrating as a team, too. You're playing great defense. BYU is. They played a lot of defense. And your offense is passing the ball around and just isn't able to complete passes. Got to catch and throw in this game.
Got to catch and throw. So important.
So now we have Utah. Transition opportunity on the sub. Once again, Utah has looked good in the substitution game and getting some advantage over BYU, getting a couple steps on that trailing midfielder. We got a Ward.
I was really impressed with the substitution game that Utah was showing yesterday. Got a little confused during the broadcast. My man Will Manny, I've seen these guys, him and Holman, play so much. They're similar size. I was giving the credit to Holman for running the box. It's Manny that runs the box for Utah, but he does an unbelievable job. Great energy, and he's on top of every single thing that's happening out there on the field. His head is always dialed into the game. Very knowledgeable player in his own right in the Major League Lacrosse, but he's going to do good things with the coaching ranks as well.
The substitution box is one of the most underrated parts of coaching. Usually it's delegated to a second assistant, a volunteer. Oh, and here comes another poor transfer pass from BYU. It's going to be Utah ball. But you talk about the importance of the substitution box. A guy I coached with, John Ewart, he's a legend in Ohio. He, as a head coach, always ran his own box. That's how important he thought the substitution game was.
Oh, it's really important. You talk about it's another piece of the possession game. Face-offs, ground balls, big saves, defensemen picking up ground balls, the clearing. And the substitution game is just another part of all those things that I just talked about. Possessions are key in the game of lacrosse.
So now BYU gets the turnover on the Ward, clears the ball, throws it away. Now they find themselves back on defense. And for Utah, they have not looked in rhythm on their last offensive possessions. They spin the ball, obviously trying to get it to Stout behind.
Gosh, you talk about a game of this magnitude right now. The unforced turnovers out of BYU are just hurting their chances of upset of number 2 Utah. They got to do a much better job of concentrating and controlling the ball and stop turning the ball over in an unforced situation. It's one thing if you turn the ball over when you're trying to jam the ball to the crease or trying to skip pass to the backside, but these have just been throwing the ball around in the 6-on-6 sets.
And there's your guy, Josh Stout, once again. Runs off the pick, the short stick pick, gets top side. And man, that release, high to high, beats Hampshire once again. This kid can do all kinds of score in a multitude of ways. He's got a hat trick, 3 of the 5 goals, 60% of his team's offense.
Yeah, this kid can flat out play the game of lacrosse. Very talented. Unbelievable shooter.
Talk about D1 guys, he's one of those guys.
Yeah, for sure. You know, he can score inside. He's got a nice shot from the outside, right and left hand like I talked about. Good vision as a player. Right now, if you're BYU, you got to focus in on number 1 Stout a little bit more. That slide's got to come earlier. They got, to talk through the picks a little bit better. And you got to mark that number 1. Eyes got to be on him if you're that BYU defense.
We'll hold on Clancy on the face-off. It's going to be Utah ball. And if you're BYU, I'm surprised they haven't gone back to the shutoff that we saw that was successful. They've only run it on 1 set, and it really slowed down the Utah offense. Shot not on cage. Rebound attempt from Grayson Goodyear. Over the shoulder, trying to throw it on cage. Sails high. And now you have Stout once again with the ball, playing the 2-man game with his short stick counterpart, Grayson Goodyear.
Yeah, I like your call. BYU having some success putting that short stick shut off on 1 Stout, and they haven't gone back to it again. It did work for them the first time. They did it, and Utah turned the ball over.
Here comes Stout initiating to his left this time. Gets to the middle, and once again, deja vu. We've seen it to the left, we've seen it to the right, now we see it on the left again.
Stout is on fire right now. Get your top player the ball. BYU has no answer for number 1 Josh Stout at the moment. They're going to have to get into Coach Schneck. They're going to talk it over, and they're going to come up with a little different plan of attack here to try to stop number 1 from dodging right or the left and coming around and bury the ball to the back of the net.
When you have a player as good as Josh Stout and obviously on fire, right? The kid's absolutely filling it up. I've always been a fan of locking him. If you're that long stick and you're covering him, don't let him touch the ball. Lock him off with the long stick. You know a guy we used to do that against? John Grant Jr.
Yeah.
He's so good, and you know if you put a short stick on him, he's going to be able to get the ball anyways. Put a long stick on him, lock him off, and make other guys beat you.
Absolutely. As an attackman, you grow frustrated too. Now all of a sudden you lose a little bit, of your patience and kind of dictating tempo at your own pace. It might, make that attackman go to the cage and weird angles or a little bit sooner than he normally would. He's going to start thinking about it. I haven't touched the ball in 2 or 3 minutes because these guys have been all over me.
Right.
So I totally agree with what you're talking about. I think BYU should try some of that, make it harder for number 1 to touch the ball.
Yeah, and there's another attackman that when I was playing in LA that we used to shut off. He was playing for the Dragons. You know who that might have been?
Yeah, that was me, and
Yep.
you guys put
Sean Donnelly,
ex-Navy SEAL on me.
That's correct.
Gave him a mission.
Yeah,
Like
he's
he
an
was
animal,
going,
isn't
like
he?
he was going into combat for the USA, and he would not talk to me the entire game and just stare me down.
Yeah, he
made it really hard to get the ball.
Yes, and you want to talk about a guy who you said mentally tough, obviously, but physically. He was 37 years old and running up mountains and lifting logs, just an absolute beast. And so, to our point that we're making, you got a player who can fill it up. Don't let him touch the ball.
Absolutely. I like that play. Let's see, the next time Utah gets the ball, what Coach Schneck and BYU has done to adjust to the situation.
The face-off was initially won by Jacob Chang, but he goosed the ball right to Chase Paulson for the Cougars, who picks it up, handles the pressure from Utah, and gets the ball down to his attack. It's a big possession for the Cougars.
Big possession for sure. You got to do a much better job of playing with a little bit more energy. Got to get guys dodging a little bit faster, but most importantly, making good passes right on the guy's ear and not turning the ball over.
We've got a great crowd, a great afternoon here in Salt Lake City. Looks pretty evenly split between blue and red. 2 local Utah teams, fantastic lacrosse teams, and fan bases as we see.
My man D-Duff 21, he's seeing what we're seeing as well. BYU needs to shut off Stout. No doubt about it. Got to make it tougher for him to get the ball.
And 100%, he's the guy that's beating you right now. 4 of 6 goals in the first half for the Utes. Got to do something different. What about a zone? Maybe throw a zone out there as well if you got that?
Yeah, I'm not afraid to change it up a little bit, for sure. Give him a little different look.
We got a timer on now for against Utah. 1:15 remaining in the second quarter. Chandler Westcott now going to initiate against the short stick from X. The skip pass up top. Time and room. Bullseye. Zach Labrum. How about that skip pass from Westcott over the top? And Labrum, he catches it. Let's talk about that release. High to low. Something you love, Mr. 89 miles per hour. Ryan Powell, talk to me.
I'm talking to you about Chandler Westcott first, number 16, with awesome vision. First of all, Utah got caught in a little slide package. They had to drop it into the hole there, and they left our man Labrum up top. You're right, he did have time and room. Perfectly placed shot with an overhand shot to the low corner. Big time goal right there by BYU. Much needed here, a little confidence going into the second half, and see if they can get another one in the next 50 seconds here for the Cougars.
Got a hold against Utah, and it's going to be Cougars ball. Chance to cut the lead to 2 before halftime. You hold for 1 here, Ryan?
I like that for sure.
And we're talking about good shooters, and you don't always have to shoot at 100 miles an hour. You obviously didn't shoot at 100 miles an hour, scored a ton of goals, able to hide that release point, overhand, change your shot location. As a shooter, that's just reps. Expect BYU to go back to the invert, the success they've had. Connor Bernal.
Here we go, a little big little matchup.
Nice feed inside to Winston Farley. And now you have the timeout Cougars.
The timely timeout.
That was a good timeout. We both appreciate that. Coach Schneck going to draw something up with only 13 seconds remaining in the first half.
13 seconds remaining in the first half. I love a quick, big little two-man game behind the cage. Get my man Severson, number 8, back there, engaged in the play.
We haven't seen a lot of Severson on the BYU offense.
No, it seems like he's been running out of the midfield a little bit more last night, playing a little bit more down low at the attack.
He made some nice passes early in the first quarter. It's been quiet since. BYU has been initiating the majority of their offense from X, like you said. See if they want to go back to that big little with only 13 seconds remaining.
Let's give it up for my man Stephen the Bold. I appreciate everybody tuning in and checking out the game. We got someone, Stephen the Bold, out there in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Utah Laxer, tuning in to check out the Utes.
How do you feel about that?
Work.
How do you feel about Steve's Twitter handle, Stephen the Bold? I like that.
I do like it. I like Stephen.
You like Stephen?
I do.
It's a good name, strong name. The Bold. Thanks for tweeting at us there.
Let's see what can transpire here. 13 seconds on the clock, like you talked about, Greg, and they're going to have to go pretty quick.
Yeah, we got Cheese Wizardry, Cougar fan, also asking for some game plans and some adjustments on Stout. What'd you think about that play?
Oh my God, I absolutely loved it, to be honest with you. They just didn't execute it. Great job by Coach Schneck drawing that one up. Coming out of the timeout, I mean, that couldn't have been betterly planned.
The slip to Severson, he just wasn't able to handle the rock. Find ourselves at halftime, 6-3, Utes with the lead.
Nice job.
Life is about moments. If you fight, I fight. If I fight, we fight.
You be there and watch what I do when the bell rings.
Do you have have that real look in your eye that when you look at yourself in the mirror, you can ask yourself this question: did I give everything I got? Did I lay it all on the line? Or am I cheating myself?
What you say, Quade? All right. See ya.
Right at it. Oh! He's done it again!
So whatever you're gonna do, claim it. Leave your mark on this world.
Founded in 2009, Lacrosse Talk Radio has the most live and up-to-date coverage of the fastest sport on 2 feet. Whether you're listening to one of our over 200 live youth, high school, collegiate, or professional game broadcasts, or our regional specialty shows, Lacrosse Talk Radio gives you access and insight to your favorite teams and players. Visit us at lacrossetalkradio.com for our broadcast schedules in the Rocky Mountain, Tri-State, and Mid-Atlantic regions. Lacrosse Talk Radio, the official voice of the MCLA.
My name is Pat Young. I started my college career at University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and finished up at University of Maryland.
Here at Denver, and I played professional lacrosse for the Denver Outlaws. This is the UA Command 2.0. I really like the new design of the thinner scoop at the top to help with ground balls, and the same thing in the back with the flare to help with ground balls as well. The pocket, it forms just a nice, easy pocket right in the middle. I also love how light it is. We've been in the sun all day. It still doesn't get that soupy, bendy feeling. Also, what I really like the new addition of is the side rail pockets for the shooters, which doesn't go right in there, which I think is a brilliant design.
I'm Greg Renlian, known as Greg Beast. I played for the New York Lizards. I just retired from the MLL, and I face off for Team USA. An elite level face-off man looks for a couple different things. First thing is the pinch points of the head, the flex points, how it wraps around the ball. The second thing you look for is the scoop. Is it rigid enough and can it help you get an extra couple ground balls? The third thing is you want durability. You don't want to have to go buy a new head every few games, so this head basically encompasses all three of those. The Face-Off Academy put Command X's heads and their prototypes through the grinder. They lasted.
We're back. Second half action about to begin. 2018 MCLA National Tournament powered by Under Armour. Utah Utes leading the BYU Cougars 6-3. Ryan, some initial thoughts on that first half and maybe some adjustments from either of these teams.
Yeah, I think the adjustment for BYU is you got to stop turning the ball over. I think that they're right in this game without those turnovers, the unforced turnovers that they've had. They started to find a little something towards the end of the second quarter. I felt like they started controlling the game a little bit more. A couple really nice offensive possessions. Their defense is settling down quite a bit. If you're BYU, you got to worry about number one, Josh Stout, and get an answer for him, whether that's locking him off like we talked about, whether that's trying a little zone at times, whatever that might be. And then, Utah played a really solid first half. It started with number one, Stout, of course, but their defense played really solid. Anytime your D allows only 3 goals and a half, that's a pretty solid day at the office for sure, and they're receiving great goaltending play as well.
Lacrosse has been fantastic. good news if you're BYU. This is a great way to start your second half. We got a 30-second penalty, a push on Chris Belcher. And it all started with the play, the loose ball, ground ball of Zach Laban, number 17. He's been electric for BYU. We've seen him initiate the offense. We've seen him play wings. Now he plays man up. He's a special player.
Yeah, he really is. They're trying to get him the ball quite a bit and dodging situations in the 6-on-6. He seems like the one guy that is generating quite a bit of offense for BYU.
Captain for the Cougars. And once again, an errant pass. Ryan, you just highlighted the fact that the Cougars need to clean up their transfer passing. You got an extra man there. You're not under pressure, and you throw the ball away. Squandered opportunity.
You got to be very disappointed there if you're the coaching staff at BYU. Like I talked about, you spend so much time on your stick work throughout the course of the year, and it's even worse. You know, you're throwing an unforced turnover in the 6-on-6 situation. To your point, now all of a sudden you're 6-on-5 with plenty of time to get an excellent man-up unit to go to work, and you're throwing the ball away. Very frustrating turnover for the Cougars.
Nice job from the Utes, their long pole unit, handling pressure, getting double teamed, being able to run, and give the attack unit credit as well for working out and getting that ball from their defense on the clear. So Utah with their first possession of the second half. The feed inside just missed, but once again, a Utah Ute wide open with the substitution game. That substitution game from the Utes really giving BYU trouble.
Matthias Perez, number 41 for BYU. Nice ground ball there, but you got to know that Utah attack unit, midfielder units are trying to track you down. Get your head on a swivel, have a good understanding of the game, and know that those guys are coming to track you down. Get the ball up the field or roll back. Get it back to one of your players for a nice clear.
Especially as a long pole, I always thought I beat on guys like you, Ryan, all game. The second I pick up that ground ball, I know you want some revenge.
Absolutely want some revenge. I'm going for your elbow bone.
Exactly. Moral of the story, you pick that ball up, you got to know guys are coming behind you.
Absolutely, yep. Keep your head up and move that ball.
Good look inside. BYU, Winston Farley wasn't able to corral, but they're making the right looks. They're just not completing the passes for the Cougars. Outside shot from Harry Waddups. That was from deep. It's going to be tough to beat Costa from that distance.
No doubt about it. You got to work to get a better shot than that. That's way too far out. You're not going to beat Costa with that shot.
Great take from Chandler Westcott to get underneath.
That was a nifty move right there. Underneath dodge, gets his hands free, just missed the mark on his shot.
I think he had Costa beat as well.
I did. That's it.
You see Costa, the goaltender for the Utes, bringing his defense in. I think he wants that one back.
Costa's going to do a little turn and rake situation there, Mr. Bice. Tanner Johnson, we've seen that he's got the laser beam from the outside. Also got some nice hands on the inside. Good catch. Finish buried to the back of the net. The Cougars are rolling right now, bringing it back within 2. Big time goal by BYU. They got some serious energy. The bench is fired up here. It's a game of runs, and BYU has found themselves in the middle of it right now.
So as we head to the second face-off of the second half, BYU first to get on the board in the third quarter. Javin Chow giving some coaching tips at Javin Chow, saying the BYU defense need to keep their head on a swivel, stop ball watching. He's a BYU fan.
Really good step out and shut down play there by number 11, Jared Cotter. The
He's made some
BYU
great
defense.
plays,
He has, and you didn't see the game last night. I was on the call. He was phenomenal last night as well. We kept going back to the John Stockton reference with him. Where's his shorts a little bit higher?
Oh, the shorts are a little bit higher, but that's the way kids are wearing them these days. I don't know if you've picked up on that. So,
well,
fashion is cyclical, in case you didn't know. Now you do. And short shorts are coming back in our man John Stockton. He's an impressive-looking athlete, isn't he?
No doubt about it. Those are huge legs.
Good defense from BYU. Right now, BYU hasn't had to slide in this possession. It's a nice job of winning their matchups. And you actually see BYU is locking Stout off behind with a long pole. We talked about that strategy. Maybe the coaches overheard us.
Yeah, Matthias Perez, number 41, draws the assignment of trying to stop Stout, who's been on fire. I'll tell you, Utah looks a little out of sorts when the ball can't go through their quarterback, Stout.
But he picks it up off the end line, and now Stout initiates. Good recovery, slide and recovery. Great save. Hampshire once again with a big save on the doorstep. So athletic, goes to the splits. Can you go to the splits?
No, I cannot, but that kid can, and Hampshire is playing an unbelievable game. He's had some big-time stops on the doorstep. That is first-class goaltending play on display right there, and he gives BYU a nice possession here on the offensive end. They got an opportunity to cut it to within one, and they got their first-line midfield unit out here again. Labram with it now.
Yeah, Labram. He's been the catalyst. He's been the starter, the party starter for BYU, winning his matchup. He's drawing the short stick, and he looks good initiating. Here comes Westcott again. We saw him win the matchup last time, wasn't able to put it in the back of the net. Beat his defender, wasn't able to beat Costa. BYU now with Severts in the short stick matchup.
Hey, Severson.
You can hear the coaching staff from BYU not loving that shot. From Waddups, thinks they can get a better look.
Let's go, Blue! Head up, Chad.
BYU spinning the ball. Now attacking from the left wing. The skip pass. Back up top.
Great patience.
Shoots far post, but misses. This is Connor Bernal, and Connor Bernal's got a great first step, doesn't he?
He really does. Quick, crafty.
Transfer from Marquette.
He was a Marquette transfer.
Seems like he can get his hands free anytime he wants.
Waddups again with the sweep to the middle, not able to put it on cage. So it's two shots for Waddups, one high, not on cage, one low, not on cage. But you gotta like where he's taking his shots. He's got the short stick matchup and carrying his defender. Aaron Feldstedt behind. They're gonna play big little with Connor Bernal.
Man, you can just tell that the energy has shifted to BYU's favor in this game. Their offensive unit out here is just playing with a lot more confidence than they showed in the first half, flinging the ball around the outside, and guys with the ball have a belief that they can beat this Utah's defense.
Great save from Costa. And Utah, sensing the moment as well, went into his zone. And for some reason, didn't pick up Connor. If you're Connor Bernal, that's a great look. Hands free, stepping down. The Utah defense did not do a good job rotating. But it comes back down. John Rose from the outside. The high-to-high heat. Able to beat Hampshire. And that was the early offense, the transition opportunity for the Utes. And that's a great way, if you're a Utes fan, to stop the momentum swing that was all in favor of the Cougars. Get a big goal from your defensive midfielder.
Number 9, John Rose, just a freshman out of Hotlanta, Georgia, with a high, hard one. He's got rope.
He's got rope, and product from Georgia. And how great is it to see, Ryan, kids on these rosters from all over the country. And you see it now, these college rosters, Division I, Division II, Division III, MCLA. He's drawing talent from all over the country. It's not just Long Island, and it's just not Maryland anymore.
You're absolutely right.
I'll say upstate as well for you.
You just start saying that right here. I start looking down the
shot, doesn't get on cage.
I want to see what happened there, but I just started looking down at the hometown on our sheets here. We got New Canaan, Connecticut, Alpine, Utah, Stockton, California, Huntington, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, Bethesda, Maryland, Wilmington, Massachusetts.
How about that? I was actually born in Bethesda, Maryland.
On. You were?
Yeah, Naval Hospital. Got a shot backed up by BYU.
How's that not a shot?
And Westcott with a great move. How about that? Westcott puts his defender on skates and finds Tanner Johnson again on the doorstep. And we talked about those easy scoring opportunities when you're an attackman, you're parked on the back door. Give Westcott all the credit for finding Johnson, and Johnson, they don't get any easier than that.
No, Westcott's been playing one heck of a lacrosse game so far, doing all the dodging. He's been more of the quarterback. It was Severson last night. It's Westcott today, engaging in the defense. He's playing with a high confidence, with a belief that he can beat his defenseman and draw a slide exactly like he did right there. And he's got nice vision to go along with it. He finds Johnson on the doorstep for the goal.
Cuts the lead back to 2. And Clancy keeps the ball inbounds, but it goes right to the cross of Abizad. He's not able to corral it. And now BYU collects the ball, sets up the clear. Dangerous pass to the middle, but great handle from Connor Williams.
Artie Walters, number 10, awesome ground ball. It's a game of all the important aspects compiled. See how your team's going to shake out at the end. That's a world-class ground ball.
And how about the catch 10 from Connor Williams? If Connor Williams doesn't catch that, it one-hops right to Utah with no goalie in the cage for BYU.
Goalie. That's an automatic goal right there. So big catch by 44.
Ryan, we're talking about guys that can initiate offense. We've obviously been talking about Westcott and his ability to beat his man, and we saw him just put an absolute move on the Utah defender last series. How much of being the guy and being the initiator is about confidence?
Oh, absolutely. You see 16, the way that he's been playing, Chandler Prescott. Every time that ball goes in his stick, he's playing with some, I like to call it jam. He's playing with some jam, and that's being on your toes with a lot of energy, ready to rock and roll. And half the battle when you're playing against a good defense and a good defenseman is a belief to know that you can go by him and create either a shot for yourself or a dish to somebody else. So Chandler Prescott is having himself a day, keeping the Cougars in it.
Shot from long-stick midfielder Nicholas Farnsworth. And Utah's best offense, that was a great opportunity for them. The best they've looked is in transition. So they're trying to attack early before this BYU defense can get set. Oh, great job for the BYU sideline. And give Harry Waddups credit. He was counting to the official, the near side official, gave him the count, helped him count to 7, said, "Mr. Official, I will point out all 7 of the Utah players on the field. That is too many men, sir. Give us the ball." Love smart lacrosse players.
High lacrosse IQ. Not only that, being completely engaged in the game and task at hand.
And how about the play from Tanner Johnson's had himself a game. And
Tanner Johnson just told 2 of the Utah guys to get out of his way.
Get out of his way. Give it to Bernal. And we had a great angle of Connor Bernal dropping his hands, going upstairs, raiding the cookie jar. You know that's where Mama keeps the cookies. Go get yourself one, Tanner.
No doubt about it. That's a big-time goal by BYU. All starts with 23, Tanner Johnson, lowering the shoulder. He says, "Hey, boys, let's go. We got a game here today." Then he gets it over to an unbelievable finisher with a really nice rocket shot with Connor Bernal. Brings the Cougars back within one. And guess what, Mr. Bice? We got ourselves a ball game.
Love it. You talked about momentum all on BYU's side. And how about Westcott? That was his 4th assist of the game.
Hey, I've been talking about it, man. This kid can play. It's Stout at one end, it's Prescott at the other, going back and forth. Both attackmen playing at a high level and doing it for their team, but it's been Prescott as of late. Utah has not found Stout very often here.
He has not touched the ball, other than he backed up one shot, had one dodge in this 3rd quarter. Other than that, he has not touched the ball. And you talk about the lock off and the shut off that BYU has going with Matthias Perez. So give Coach Schneck tons of credit for the halftime adjustment on Stout.
Halftime adjustment and halftime talk to his group about coming out here and playing with more energy, passion, and effort, because that's on display at a high level right now. These guys are playing at a different level now than they did in the first half.
And they dodge a bullet there. Austin Kalania, excuse me, with the take, and here's your guy Stout, giving the ball off the end line. Don't have too much pride. Slide to Stout. Even though he's got the long stick, sometimes you get teams that don't want to slide pole to pole. But when you got a talent like Stout with the ball, you got to go early. There's the slide. Stout continues to move his feet, tries to hit the skip. Ball sails. Ground ball from Cole Watson. Now Cole Watson with a step, working to the middle, runs into trouble. BYU defense, fantastic job protecting the middle. And how about the speed right now from Jake Hogard?
Great look.
Severts controlling, good decision there, not to go. Big hit. Ground ball now for BYU, and they maintain possession, and Zach Labram with the ball. So Severson's had a quiet game, but a good decision there not to go to the cage, pull it out, maintain possession for the Cougars.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a really smart player, and you know what I liked about him the most, besides watching an awesome attackman play the game last night, I liked him in the press conference after the game, giving credit to his team. And he said, tonight, you know, it was my night. I got a little bit hot. The guys kept getting me the ball, but we're a team that tomorrow it's going to be somebody different. Every game out there, it's a little somebody different, and we play as a team. So awesome team-first mentality out of Severson, and that was on display right there by making the right decision.
Save from Costa. Almost lost control of the rebound. But you talk about team guys and understanding situations, and a lot of times guys who are the best player on the team, a guy like Severson who's used to putting up big points, you know, you see guys that get frustrated, right? They're not getting the touches. When they finally do get the ball, they force things a little bit, but Severson doing a great job of understanding the game and letting it come to him. Utah with the clear, and now they settle into their 6-on-6 set.
Utah's been looking a little out of sorts here on the offensive end. They have not been producing many shots here in the second half. To your point, Coach Schneck and the adjustments that he made, credit to that. But it's also, you know, a lot of the guys outside of Stout not feeling as comfortable.
And Utah, once again, almost had an opportunity created out of the substitution game. Here comes Stout, great move, draws the slide, errant pass, over and back. It's going to be BYU ball. And you see Stout frustrated with that pass, not able to connect.
We talked about that in the first half. We talked about shutting off and making it harder for him to get the ball. That's what BYU has done, and that is a common thing for your top players to do. They haven't touched the ball in 3 or 4 minutes. When they get the ball, they immediately want to try to make something happen. Stout wanted to try to swing that momentum back to the Utah's favor, He wasn't able to do that. He was trying to do a little bit too much there with a pass over the top.
Shot from Waddups. Easy save for Costa. Utah on the clear. Transition opportunity now for Jake Nat'l. Step down, save. Hampshire goaltending. Great goaltending on both ends. Hampshire got lucky there. Ball was deflected from Joseph Olivas. Goes back to Hampshire. 7 seconds remaining in the third quarter. It says 13 there on your screen. Okay, they're resetting it to 9. So we have 9 seconds remaining. The officials are stopping play. They want 10 seconds on the clock, so good job by the officials once again of getting the correct time. Stopping play, making sure that they're getting the call right. So we're gonna actually have 10 seconds now on the game clock. Coach is yelling for a shot. Here it comes. Not on cage. Backed up by BYU. 2 seconds now. Give it the old heave-ho one last time. See if you can put it on cage. If it's released before the buzzer and it goes in, it counts. Not on cage. So here we are. 7-6. Utah nursing the 1-goal lead. A quarter that was dominated by BYU. Coming up for the fourth, it's going to be a good one.
It is going to be a good one. That was an awesome third quarter of lacrosse, especially if you're supporting and cheering for the Cougars, because to your point, they did own that quarter. All aspects of the game. I shouldn't say all aspects of the game, because I'll tell you what, the goaltending both ways has been phenomenal.
I'm Greg Gurenlian, known as Greg Beast. I played for the New York Lizards. I just retired from the MLL, and I face off for Team USA. An elite level face-off man looks for a couple different things. The first thing is the pinch points of the head, the flex points, how it wraps around the ball. The second thing you look for is the scoop. Is it rigid enough and can it help you get an extra couple ground balls? The third thing is you want durability. You don't want to have to go buy a new head every few games, so this head basically encompasses all three of those. The Face-Off Academy put Commandex's heads and their prototypes through the grinder. They lasted throughout the entire grind. They flexed exactly how we wanted them to. So not only were they pliable, not only were they durable, but they were also used in a lot of different facets. So it came out with a pretty good rating. The UA Commandex. Dive under, take over.
And we're back. The start of the fourth quarter. Utah 7, BYU 6, which has been a back and forth game. The first half dominated by Utah, the third quarter by BYU. We find ourselves in a 1-goal game. These in-state rivals playing for a chance to extend their season.
Yeah, that's what they worked so hard for throughout the course of the year, for this moment right here. It all comes down to 15 minutes on the clock. If you're Utah, you're looking for a great quarter of lacrosse. If you're BYU, you're looking to elevate your game just a little bit more from what you did in the third quarter.
Loose ball push on BYU. But how about the play from Connor Williams? Number 44 has been all over the loose balls. Great defense, great ride from BYU. Can they get the ground ball? We still have the count on. There hasn't been possession for BYU yet. Great ride from the Cougars.
Absolutely. These guys are playing with some fire right now. Getting after it.
And while BYU is down 1 goal, no question that momentum is on their side. They have the fired up coaches, the fired up sideline, all the energy with the Cougars. So BYU settling in. 6-on-6 set. Connor Bernal initiating from up top. Splits right to right. Pulls it out, decides not to shoot, initiates now from the low wing. Westcott moves the ball to Labrum. Labrum looks like he's going to go back to the invert.
I like this. This is a good matchup right here if you're BYU. Labrum against a short stick. Big, strong body with a little stutter and go move.
Good defense from Gainland. And a tough matchup, as you said, against Labrum.
Get it back behind with Labrum. Let him go to work.
You like the patience right now on display? And the push. This goal is going to stand. Let's see. They threw the flag. You assume that that was on the push. The officials are conferring with the Utes. Okay, he's wiping out the goal, saying that the push occurred prior to the jump. That should be a goal, I believe. You hear the BYU, even if he gets pushed, it's a play on, correct? But you get the push into the crease, the goal's supposed to stand.
I think that definitely has to be a goal.
I'm not sure what the explanation is.
You can't leave your feet and end up in the crease, but if you're pushed, that goal's got to stand.
Well, it doesn't. And man up opportunity now. It's going to be a 30-second extra man opportunity for the Cougars.
Come to find out, you and I aren't wearing stripes, so our vote doesn't count.
And we'll see if BYU's able to weather this, because they thought that they obviously thought that it should have been a goal as well. They agreed with us. Go figure. We're going to have a loose ball hold on Labrum, and that's a huge swing. Huge momentum swing in favor of Utah. What we thought should have been a goal was wiped out. Man up opportunity. Give the Utes defense credit for forcing the turnover. And now Utah should be able to kill this penalty and get back to even strength, and we're all even. 12 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Utah's first possession of the fourth.
Look at this move. They just brought Stout in out of the box. They got a short stick.
Just looking to find Stout. And now the coaching staff of Utah trying to run him through the box and get him the ball. Good defense. Utah with a timeout. But Utah doing anything they can to try and get Stout the ball. Now running him out of the box, and give the Cougars tons of credit for recognizing the strategy from Utah. And Jake Hogard with the lock off, realizing that Stout was coming out of the box. If you're Utah here, what do you draw up? You only scored one goal this half so far.
Because BYU's been in that shutoff against Stout, I think you got to start him with the ball. And, you know, when he's being so heavily guarded and watched, I like a little two-man game with him behind the cage, because a lot of times defenses get caught in that situation where, you know, the one guy is tasked to stop Stout. He doesn't want to switch.
Right.
He wants to stay on him, and a lot of times you can burn a defense that way. Two guys end up going with Stout in a little pick situation, leaving one guy wide open. Stout would be able to dump it to him. So I think you got to start the ball with number one Stout to avoid that shutoff situation. Get your top 6 offensive players out there.
Well, Utah disagrees with you. Looks like Colonia is going to start with the ball. Collins going to start with the ball. And he's going to initiate. And Stout is on the other side of the field. Looks like they're going to use him to pick. There it is. Well, that's the look you want. You talked about if you're getting locked off and you go to set the pick, one pick becomes a double pick because you're getting locked off, and we saw it right there. And it was a good shot opportunity. Now Stout has the ball. This is the play that you wanted, him to start with the ball.
Yeah, but I thought that was a really good offensive possession as well. You know, if you're not going to have the ball in your stick and start with it, still be utilized and set a pick for somebody because it creates the same situation. Pressure on the defense, not a great understanding of what to do in terms of that two-man pick game.
Good jab step. Carry across, better save. Collina with a great move, gets to the middle, gets his hands free, but Hampshire, once again, standing tall. Go to the cage, young man. Right there. Riley Christensen had an opportunity. He could have taken it right to the rack. But that's a good decision. You don't feel comfortable going, throw it to your tap. Let those guys handle the ball that are used to it. And now Labram carries behind, a play we've seen time and time again for the Cougars. So they have both short sticks. Labram behind. Bernal on the wing.
Good matchup right here for BYU. Labram's big body, tough to move.
I think they should give Bernal a chance to go with that quick jab step. Or this guy, Westcott. Here he is, Bernal. Right on cue.
Is that how you drew it up right there, Mr. Bice?
I said give him the ball. They give him the ball. And what do you know? Lights out. How about that? I love that move.
How about goal number 7 for number 7?
There we go.
We're all square.
How about that move? Jabs underneath, rolls back, and that's one there where if you're a defender, you're not in a bad position, but he shoots around you and you become a screen. Good offense. You got a guy like Bernal who's so quick and so athletic, and all he needs is an inch, and gets his hands free and just smokes it by Costa. 7-7.
BYU's got major momentum on their side right now. It continues. They've owned the second half up to date.
Good ride from Utah. We talk about the number of freshmen on this Utah squad. Is that becoming a factor? Things tightening up here?
Could be as it's coming down the stretch for sure. You know, experience, having more opportunities of being in this moment as a player is going to help you in these situations. And a lot of guys are new to the MCLA lacrosse scene and this stage here at the MCLA Championships in Salt Lake City.
Utah's going back to that pick play that they had success on earlier. Cole Watson. You see the energy, what this game means to this team. And so that was the initial play that they ran out of the timeout, Ryan. They go back to it, but Watson, instead of going over, fakes the pick, going over the pick, and he comes back underneath and catches the defender off guard, is able to get the middle and beat Hampshire.
Hey, don't mess with Texas, baby.
You know that.
190, big frame, big body right there. Cole Watson, nice dip under move to get underneath his defenseman.
From Texan to Texan, I appreciate that. It's a great move.
Hampshire, I'm not sure what he was doing there. He got out of the cage a little bit. He was outside the crease. You got to stay home as a goaltender, protect those pipes. He's been doing good on those doorstep shots. I would have liked to see him stay home on that one and try your best to stop Watson coming in and cramming that one home. Because he went outside the crease, tried to put a little check or body on the big frame, Cole Watson. It left no chance. That wide 6 feet by 6 feet goal was wide open.
To your point, Hampshire has made some phenomenal saves in close. Hold that line, give yourself a chance. Here's Bernal once again. Got the short stick matchup now. He got pushed, but they're not going to call. They're going to say he's not pushed, and they're just going to say he steps in the crease. Utah ball. That's 2 tough calls that have gone against BYU on that crease line.
Gosh, I'm not so sure about that. You hate to see that. And
moving pick, though. The ball's coming right back for the Cougars.
Game like this, man, you gotta call. That's a push, you know.
It'll definitely look like it from where we are sitting. But BYU gets a break here on the moving screen from Utah on the clear. Matty Lax tweeting in, this game got me watching on my feet. It's so good, and we agree. Fantastic game, back and forth battle. These teams can play.
Couldn't agree with you more, Matty Lax. This is a good one that we're watching right here. Right up close and personal, right off the benches. Right at the middle of the box here, the mountains surrounding the field of this beautiful venue. Under Armour, first-class operation here, MCLA Championships. This has been one good lacrosse game to witness and call here for you and I, Greg Bice. This has been a lot of fun, and BYU here in a big-time offensive possession. Let's see what they can shake up.
Westcott has the short stick matchup. Oh, what a move. Good slide and recovery from the Utes. Ball swings up top to Waddups.
Severson's got a short stick here. This is a great matchup for BYU. Look for Utah coming early.
Yep, I was just going to say expect the early slide. Here it is. Severson continuing to attack. Good shot opportunity for Severson off the pick. You like that take?
I do like it, yep. Severson, like we talked about, he was on fire last night, playing very confident. If he feels like he can bury the ball, I'm all for it. He's a very smart lacrosse player. He's made a lot of the right decisions.
Here's Labram attacking, tries to run a flip play, turnover, fast break, Jake Nat'l stepping down, pass to your guy, Josh Stout. That's one way to get him the ball. And it starts with a bad flip for the Cougars. On the offensive end, and give Nat'l tons of credit. He runs right down the heart of the defense. He holds the ball. You could see the BYU defense didn't want to slide. They were trying to hold as long as possible. Nat'l holds them and then throws it to number 1 with time and room. He's going to put that in the back of the net every time.
Absolutely. You know, I work camps all summer long, teach young kids how to play the game of lacrosse. That was textbook execution out of Nat'l. Get to the middle of the field, run as fast as you can with the ball, keep it up in a threatening position that you can pass or shoot the ball. You're going to draw a slide out of the fast break in that 4-on-3 situation, and then your job is to deliver a great pass on the stick side to your point attackman. He put one right on Stout's ear. Stout buries it with some authority from range.
Okay, Westcott now with space to operate. Decides to pull it out. And we've got possession Cougars. Good news for BYU is you're still winning the faceoffs. What do you got for us, Rhino?
We got a King of the Kong, JP. This game has been crazy to watch, even all the way out here in Ireland on the way to Iraq. It just got a little bit more interesting there, King of the Kong, JP. We got a ball game in Salt Lake City, baby.
Jake Halverson, true freshman from Oregon, wins his matchup, gets to a good spot, gets his hands free, and beats Costa.
Not a name that we've called yet today, but it comes at a timely possession and point in this game for BYU. Slipping down to 2 goals away. Halverson buries a big one for the Cougars to draw back within 1. 5:20 left on the clock here in the 4th quarter. MCLA Championship week.
And that's 2 violations against Utah, so 1 more on the draw, and that's going to be a man-up opportunity for BYU with 5 minutes left. Definitely a possibility and something we need to keep our eye on. Look who they're going back to. Halverson back on the field now. And Utah puts the long stick on Halverson after what he just did to the short stick defense of the Utes a second ago. And now Bernal with the ball, working a 2-man game. Westcott, now Labram up top. Dodges, rolls back. Nothing there, continues to initiate. Gets the switch, ball swings. Up top, once again Bernal with a quick first step, left to left. Great defense. How about that? Seth Nealman, number 5 for the Utes, with a stick in a passing lane. Almost picks it off, knocks it out of bounds, and now Westcott initiates from behind.
Seth Nealman was all over the field last night in their contest. Very active with that stick. He's got that big, tall frame. He's got that stick head in the passing lanes quite often. Perfect example of it right there, knocking down that pass.
Halverson, he's lightning in a bottle. How about that first step? Gets his hands free, tries to feed all the way across to Bernal. It's a really tough pass, throwing off your back foot over the top. Just got away from him. If he connects there, Bernal's got a 7-yard step down. Easy clear for Utah. Looks like BYU was content in just dropping in and not giving up a transition look.
Big offensive possession here for Utah. You got to be smart with the ball. Make sure there's no unforced turnovers. Concentrate on your passes. Put it right on the guy's ear all the way around, but maintain that aggressive nature. Smart play, but aggressive play.
Jacob Stout, Josh's brother, carrying behind. Looks like he's going to initiate from X, and there's 3 minutes remaining in this game. If you're the Utes, do you try and milk some more of this clock?
I think you got to just have a good offensive possession here. You're not really thinking too much about milking the clock, but you certainly didn't want that shot. That's popcorn save.
Great defense again from Jared Cotter, who's had a fantastic game. Altered that shot, stick on the hands, not a lot on it. And great ride for the Utes. Ball's loose, that is a killer. That turnover from BYU. BYU trying to get. How about that?
Yeah. BYU only had 5 guys out there.
Only had 5 guys. It left Nealman wide open, excuse me. It left Belcher wide open. He takes a shot. Oh, that's going to be a flag. Free play. Did they blow the whistle? Halverson just got his clock clean, but give him tons of credit. How tough is he? Gets right back up with a smile on his face. And this could be potentially locked in. Let's see what we have. Okay, we got 1 minute locked in. So even if BYU is able to score before the minute penalty is up, they will continue to have that penalty time, whatever's remaining, due to the fact that it's locked in. He's lucky he didn't get a 2-minute penalty. That was definitely high.
Yes, it was. I'm going to plead the 5th and stay out of this one.
You thought that was a legal hit? I thought it was high.
No, I did not think it was legal.
Yeah.
I think that he probably should have been in there for a longer period of time.
I agree.
For sure. That's keeping the boys safe, and what if that's not a 2-minute? What is?
Right. Are
Zach
you
Labrum
kidding me?
Labrum, 6'4", 190 out of Libertyville, Illinois, with a great catch on the inside, little backhand flip, huge goal for the Cougars.
And how about the fact that they scored, what was it, 6-7 seconds into that man up? They're going to have, if they win this possession, they're going to have another man up opportunity.
Yeah, so this penalty could end up being huge. Full-time serve penalty.
Okay, there's 35 seconds, so that play took a little longer than I had thought. Math, not my strong suit, but how about Labrum finding the soft spot in that defense and that finish? You like the creativity, I know you do.
I love that finish, baby. That was unbelievable. Catching a little backhand flip.
Okay, BYU's going to be man up. Good call from the coach. That's a great timeout. Love that timeout because you get more time. You put your man up unit out there, you get more time for those guys to operate with the extra man.
Yep, you still had your face-off guy out there. You had a long pull coming in from the wing, so that whole substitution takes some
probably 10 seconds.
Yeah,
10 seconds before you're set.
Time off the clock. So smart play by Coach Schneck, getting a timeout right there. Get his top 6 offensive players out there. The man-up unit that's experienced some great success last night and today.
Okay, so we actually have 38 seconds left in this penalty. That's a ton of time for BYU, whose man-up unit has looked great, especially that last goal. We love that.
We did love that for sure. Now, Utah needs to get a stop right here. They got to get a stop. Stout with, that high check, and could end up really costing Utah here. Getting a quick one like you talked about on that first man-up opportunity. They went to the cage. Labrum with a nice catch and finish on the inside. Only burned 22 seconds off that 1-minute penalty.
If you're BYU, Severson's had a quiet game. This might be his moment.
This could be number 8 Severson's moment for sure, but watching BYU's man-up last night and today, these guys play extremely unselfish. They swing the ball. It doesn't matter who scores the goals for this club. Team first mentality. They're just going to be looking to generate a high quality shot right here.
Ball movement, getting in their set, starting in a 1-3-2, counting from behind.
Watch for Westcott from behind the cage 16. This kid's got great vision. Really can see the field, and he's been doing a great job dishing to the open guy.
The throwback. Tanner Johnson had a shot, passed it up. Not this time. Ooh, what a save. Oh, and another great timeout. There it is. How about the save from Costa?
That's a big-time save. We talked about it in the early going. When you're talking about MCLA championship week, in order to move on, what you need to do is you need to receive great goaltending and play. Costa has been lights out for Utah. We've had Dallin Hampshire for BYU that's played one heck of a game as well. So both goaltenders have been playing at a high level here today. And we got a 9-9 game, Mr. Bison.
Oh, this is
one heck of a lacrosse game that we're getting to witness.
How fortunate are we just to be able to call this? And you look at Tanner Johnson, who took that shot. He's already beat Costa high. And so give Costa, if I'm a goalie, I'm thinking he's going back upstairs again. He switches his shot location, and Costa drops. So you got a minute or two here left in the game. It's 9-9 on the official clock. It's a minute 2, so that's off just a little bit. We're running it down. There we go. Nice work by our crew. You're holding for one here, right, Rhino?
I think you got to hold for one. You don't worry about them slapping that shot clock on you. You hold for one. But you got to be aggressive, and you got to really concentrate here. The weakness of BYU today, or the flaw rather, has been the unforced turnovers, just getting the ball around on the offensive end. They got to take great pride in protecting the ball right here, making sure that it doesn't make it back down to the Utah Utes end. because they have a high-powered offense and probably one of the top players in the tournament, number 1, Josh Stout.
And if you're BYU, you hold for one here. If you don't score, that's fine. You go to overtime. You got to think you're going to win that faceoff because they've been dominant at the X. So you're getting 2 possessions to 0 for the Utes.
BYU's thinking about finishing off this thing right here, right now.
Here comes Bernal. The dodge, draws the slide, time and room. Just outside for Waddups. 17 seconds remaining. Ball swings around to Waddup, attacking from the top, sweeps the middle, throws forward to Westcott. Westcott with a skip pass, one more. Oh, and your guy, Severson, on the doorstep with 4 seconds on the clock. Are you kidding me? Team ball 101. Textbook offense. The extra pass finds Severson on the doorstep.
Severson, low to high. How you doing?
How you doing?
Holy cow, unbelievable finish.
Are you kidding me?
What a great lacrosse game we are seeing here. Fire and energy coming off this BYU coaching staff and bench right now. They're just looking to jam this face-off up, burn out the clock right here with only 4 remaining.
Out the front. That's what you want. Take the loose ball push. What a game from BYU and Utah. 2 heavyweights, in-state rivals, slugging it out.
This was one heck of a good lacrosse game right here, watching this one. Classic. This is one of those ones it's an instant classic. The fans are going to be able to watch this on lacrosseallstars.com in about a half an hour.
Yes, and they should watch it time and time again because, like you said, this was an instant classic. And BYU, it give the coaching staff for BYU tons of credit. The adjustments they made on the defensive end, the offensive adjustments they made as well. 2 great timeouts in that 4th quarter. And then how about just the coaching all season long, the ball movement, the extra passes. And it starts with a skip pass from Westcott to Zach Labram. Labram with the extra to your guy, Severson.
Severson, he was huge last night and gets the game winner tonight. He had been pretty quiet up to that moment. But I'll tell you what, Greg, this was a tale of 2 halves. You nailed it when you were talking about Coach Schneck and the adjustments at halftime. You know, 2 totally different halves. BYU looked a little bit flat. A lot of the momentum and energy was on Utah's side. I didn't know if there was an opportunity for BYU to get back in this one in the second half, but they put it all together, got great goaltending play, and their offense really started clicking, and a lot of guys stepped up and played huge for the Cougars as they move on.
And that'll do it for us here. Game number 1, we'll be back at 7 for our second game, but man, it's going to be tough to top that one. BYU moving on with a 1-goal victory. What a game.
My name is Pat Young. I started my college career at University of Maryland, Baltimore County and finished up at University of Maryland College Park. I currently play for the Ohio Machine. The shaft is the Meso, and obviously when you look at it, it's got a really sleek look to it. Black on black is pretty smooth. Feel it, it's not too rigid, got a little bit of a grit to it. It's very durable, but it's pretty light. It's got a little bit of a flex to it, so it puts a little bit more on your shot. UA Meso Composite, balanced, battle tested.
Life is about moments.
If you fight, I fight. If I fight, we fight.
You be there and watch what I do when the bell rings. Do you have that real look in your eye that when you look at yourself in the mirror, you can ask yourself this question: did I give everything I got? Did I lay it all on the line? Or am I cheating myself?
What you say, Quade? See ya!
Right at it, right at it. Oh! He's done it again!
So whatever you're gonna do, claim it.